Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County for March 6, 2019. I am the Nighthawk, along with our studio director, Mr. Zach. And on the panel, for the first time in 3 weeks, we're all together. On my right, Dave Handy, Super Dave, and my far right, my good pal, the Duke.
Yeah.
David, we were alone last week. I will say I enjoyed myself.
Did you somehow get by without me,
No,
you guys?
well,
I'm
we-
sure it's
Well, we
difficult.
deviated.
We kinda
We got off.
And I
ju-
forgot I was
subject.
even on TV. And we just kept talking and talking. And before we knew it was 8 o'clock.
Well, Leonard got us off. Kill.
yeah.
He was throwing something out
Before
there.
you knew it was 8 o'clock, or it was 8 o'clock.
Yeah,
That is our closing time.
So
isn't
before
it?
you get rolling, if you guys are interested in a Bryce Harper Washington National hoodie, where's the camera here?
Yeah.
There's my Harper.
Wow. Boy,
So-
that
So
looks
this
like
is a nostalgic piece I own now.
what did that cost you?
I
Three
got it-
figures?
Oh, no. I deal directly with the Chinese.
Oh, really?
And I mean that literally. I bet
Really?
I paid $35
No, really?
for this.
Looks
and
like
it's
a
high
pretty-
quality.
looks like a pretty
Listen,
warm garment.
I've got some NFL jerseys I get directly from China.
Really?
At a fraction
I
of
bet.
the cost.
'Cause those guys aren't
I'm
cheap
sure
if
they're
you buy
paying
them
all the
here.
licensing fees and
Yeah.
all of that
Now,
stuff.
even
too.
though China will overtake the United States in economic and world domination
if
in
it
10
hasn't-
years,
if it hasn't
if it
already.
hasn't already, the Chinese and all their 8-year-old laborers do
I
me
guess how
well.
much the trade imbalance was with China this year.
I heard it was a record, 616 bill for the year. I didn't hear
That was the
China.
U.S.
U-
trade
US
imbalance
trade,
with
right.
everybody.
Right.
419 billion just for China.
I would have guessed probably even higher. Is that right? 419 bill?
Half a trill. My bad. So we have a ton of stuff to talk about. So we might as well start with Bryce Harper. Then we'll probably conclude with poor Craig Kimbrell. But Bryce Harper, I don't get it. I
What
mean,
about the Phils? You really want somebody for 13 years?
here's what I think, and Dave, you can chime in. I don't believe he had any true suitors. I mentioned on the show last week, the owner of the Nats, Mark Lerner, said, we haven't had any conversation with Scott Boras in over 2 months. Now, you do the math.
Their first offer was 10 years, 300 mil. That
10.
was a legit offer?
Oh, yeah.
Well, about 250 was real, and then there
They
was
had
about 50
deferred
deferred and bonus money.
But
and
250 at
objective-
least was
yeah.
real 10
Yeah,
years.
yeah, right.
And they
the
scoffed- they
the
scoffed at
Nats
that,
always
right?
give the money. They're not cheap, but there's usually some deferred money
Okay.
along the, like Scherzer signed a huge contract. Some of it was deferred.
Yeah.
But I mean, you do the math. 13 years into $330 million is only $25.4 million
Right.
a year. As David and I talked last week, and you missed a really good show. One of the caveats with that long contract, where it does not sound as bad as I believe, maybe David does as well, that the DH will come in play in the year 2022.
2020, 2022?
Yeah. Is
Oh,
that
yeah.
when the contract?
Yeah, that's what they. Well,
I thought I
they're
was hearing even next year.
they've pushed all that off.
I think what it's going to be, Duke, is just going to be part of the negotiation ploy. You know, we'll give you this if you give us that.
yeah.
So, and all I can say is a diehard #1 Nats fan in the state of Vermont is, okay, so we didn't spend the $30 million a year on Bryce Harper. So what did we get instead of Bryce Harper? How about the best starting free agent pitcher, Patrick Corbin? We got Anibal Sanchez. We got second baseman, Brian Dozier. We got relief pitcher, Trevor Rosenthal. Kyle Bearclaw. We got the great catching tandem of Jan Gomes from Cleveland and Suzuki. I can't remember.
Who's he's a good catcher.
Yeah,
This
he
was
played
Suzuki.
right. So the Nats are right up against the salary cap. The rumors the last few days, which I didn't believe, even though I'm usually gullible if I read it on the internet, was they were talking to Craig Kimbrell, which made no sense because
Sorry, the Nets?
yeah, the Nats are only $6.5 million away from the cap. They They were the only other team other than Boston last year to go over the cap, but they were only a few million over. Now, when you're 6.5 under, you kind of want to save that money for the trade deadline.
Yeah.
You may need a player, so they're in a good situation. Again, when the owner says we haven't talked to Boris in over two months, you kind of knew it wasn't in the cards. Now, I said last week's show, I don't have an issue with him signing elsewhere. Just don't sign with Philadelphia, where we have to play him 19 times this season.
For the next 13 years.
Yeah, and I can guarantee you, in that ballpark, Duke, even at your tender age,
Philadelphia.
right? I would bet you would probably hit 20 home runs in that ballpark.
It's a real
so
hit
it's the
band
bandbox.
Yeah.
So Harper will get minimum 40 home runs a year, and he'll get some Hall of Fame numbers. I think he's going to have a brilliant career in Philadelphia, and the best is yet to come. He's dealt with injuries over the 6 years with Washington. Did win the MVP a few years ago, won Rookie of the Year. I consider him at this point of his career a very good player. Not great at this point, but I do believe he will become great just playing in a much easier ballpark. Nationals Park is kind of a neutral ballpark. You kind of really do have to hit the ball to get it over the fence.
So 13 years, is that mind blowing to anybody?
He actually,
With no opt-outs.
and no opt out.
No opt-outs.
No trade, right?
I think what happened is I think he had one offer that was really long term. That was from Philadelphia.
Right, and some other folks would have given
And
him.
maybe the Giants, maybe the Dodgers
Right.
would have given him maybe a
150
4 or 5 year deal
150
with
mil or something.
more AAV.
Yeah.
And I think that was about all he had.
Huh.
And I think finally he.
So why
told-
did he wait so long? Why not? Why kill myself in
Well,
spring
that's
training
Boris.
early?
That's Boris.
Yeah.
And Boris had set him up. I remember listening to him driving down a yoga one night. And Boris was saying that Bryce Harper is a generational player. He's got Lou Gehrig, WAR, and slugging percentage.
So
and,
glad I didn't hear this.
and all that crap. And he can play first base. He can play anywhere, and blah blah blah. And he's in the prime of his career. And we think that with that kind, he should. And I'm sure Boris was at about 350, 400 million bucks to start with. But you know what? Harper wasn't stupid, and I give him credit for not wanting to go through this again. 13 years, $300 million. That's plenty of money.
Probably live on it.
330.
Yeah, it's plenty of money. And you know what? Enough was enough. And they, I think we got a
Well,
call.
let me ask you this: if Boris were to call Washington, do you think Washington's offer was on the table, or do you think
No.
they pulled it? That's
you-
what I
didn't
think.
you think they pulled
my
it?
gut feeling was they
Boris
pulled it.
said that he had
No, I
one
guess-
offer
I
for
guess
$50
not.
million a year, but I don't believe that either.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't.
No, it's time we do have a call.
Okay. Good evening. Get the bat off your shoulder and dig out the mud out of your cleats because you're the first batter tonight on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. Go ahead.
Greetings.
Greetings.
How you
and
doing?
Welcome back,
salutations.
Duke. Did you have a good southern trip?
Yeah, it's the trip I love is my April trip. Not that I'm complaining. It was okay to escape for a few days to Florida, join my friends Clayman and Ruthie down there, but I took a beating going down. I mean, flying is a nightmare. I originally was supposed to get out of here and get into West Palm Beach at 11:30 a.m. Bobby, in time for a beach day. Within days after I make the reservation, they switch me to 4:30 p.m.
Yeah.
I get to the Burlington airport. Plane's got mechanical problems. Got out of Burlington a couple hours late. Missed my connecting flight. Waiting for the plane to come in from Chicago. That had mechanical problems. I limped into West Palm at about midnight. Fortunately, I berated the customer service folks enough. I actually got a motel out of them in West Palm. Cost me $30 to get there. Anyway, after that, it was fine, but good time. But anyway,
Oh,
but
great,
thanks.
great. Bryce Harper, since we're on the topic there, I work with a bunch of guys who are baseball nuts like we are. And the biggest thing we're all talking is the length of the contract. I mean, this man's going to be almost 40 years old when it is done. You would think that there's some point in your life where you may want to have a normal life. You know,
Again-
I think myself, if I was a superstar, I'd like a 5 or 6 year contract, roll up as much money as I could, and, you know, when you hit 30, 32, you know, try to get a normal life, a family, children, camping trips down to the lake. I mean, these long contracts, they're very disturbing, too, for your life.
The reason he took 13 years is he wanted to plant his roots in Pennsylvania. And as far as being old, I agree that's old. However, as I mentioned earlier, the DH will be in the National League in a few years.
That's a good point.
And he probably could DH the last 3 years. And I know Bryce Harper is not everybody's cup of tea. He may be a little intense. But this guy literally is up every morning at 5 o'clock, headed to the gym.
Really?
There's nary a player in all of baseball that stays in the physical condition
All right.
Harper's in.
Tell you something else,
No, I
caller.
like Bryce Harper. He's great shape, hard worker, and just because today's media it labels him whatever they want, that doesn't mean he is that person. You know, you don't have a chance today in the media. I mean, Machado's Machado. Everybody has a personality, and you know, as soon as you hit that stardom, I mean, the media just rips you apart. So it's part of the game. Harper is an asset on any team, you know. You know, you can argue, is he worth it? Well, maybe he is, maybe he isn't. As long as owners are paying money, I guess he is worth it. But he's a very hard worker. The guy's, you know, got a body like a 18-year-old high school kid, and, you know, stay injury-free. I'm sure he's going to give, you know, years and years of, you know, good service.
Caller, what I would tell you is I remember watching an interview with Brian Cashman when they were talking about all the long-term contracts the Yankees gave. If the Phillies get 8 or 9 good years out of Harper,
They're doing okay.
they'll be happy. And if the last 3 or 4 are crap, and in the meantime they won a couple of World Series, then it was all worth it. And
Yeah, I see where the Angels are a little bit upset with Harper for trying to coax Mike Trout to come on over.
Yeah.
I
Now,
did hear something
Mike
about that.
Trout is a Pennsylvania boy.
Oh, really?
And, you know, the word is he'd like to come home. And,
He's got 1 year left on his
Yeah.
with the Angels.
yeah. So,
I was
and
wa-
the Phillies still have a ton of
Yeah,
money to
you would
spend.
think that eventually Mike Trout, you know, he's probably arguably the best ball player in the
Sorry.
world, and I think personality-wise, he'd be very hard to beat. Very dedicated to his team. You never heard a bad word about him. But you know, there comes a time in your life, I'm sure, where a World Series ring would look awful nice on your hand too, or at least be in a place where you have potential to get it. Really, the Angels are going nowhere. They took on a few bad contracts, and they don't really seem like they have much of a hunger to win. So I think that would be good for, you know, Mike Trout to at least test the free agent. You know, there's a lot of half a dozen places where he could really, you know, go and win a World Series ring. So, you know, we'll see how that plays out.
I'll tell you something else about Harper is Jim Bowden, who does a lot of MLB. He said the Nationals were really stupid by not trading him for 3 good prospects to the Astros.
Well, I can tell you this. They were pretty close trading Harper at the trade deadline.
To the Astros.
No, to the Dodgers for Yusel Puig. And I think the owner put the kibosh on that deal.
Well,
You can't. They were still in a run a little bit. You can't show your fans you're giving up on your team for the year, you know.
Well, the problem is,
You know, you live and die with moves like that. What would, you know, all your fans think if, you know, after the All-Star break you dump the best player? It just won't fly.
well, the other problem they had though is that they got nothing for him. They could have got 3 or 4 good prospects. Sometimes when you keep a guy too long, just like he was saying right now, what the Angels ought to do is the Angels ought to be shopping Trout right now, or maybe at least this year at the trade deadline.
Yep.
Because if he's not going to sign a long-term extension with them right now, then the general manager has to say, look, this guy isn't going to sign with us, because if they go free agent, they almost never come back to the same team.
Right.
Unless maybe it's the Yankees.
Yep.
And then they get something for him. As it is, Washington could have had 3-4 good players. They got nobody. They got one draft pick.
Yep.
And with these guys, you got to be cold-hearted that way sometimes. That's not any different than what Belichick does all the time.
Yeah, to the collar, they were.
Yeah, I just don't
still
know
in the
what you
hunt.
get for a rent-a-player.
Yeah.
Well, they really weren't in it.
You know, you're not going to get somebody's best prospects. The only way you do that, if behind the scenes you can negotiate an extension on their contracts, but to rent somebody like Harper for 3 months, I really don't think an organization would give you the top prospects.
Well, Houston said they would. They had it. It was a done deal.
Really?
Done deal. Houston, and you know what? He might have put them over the top because they weren't that far from. Now,
But let me say this about the Philadelphia Phillies. They have no pitching. They have one of the best pitchers in baseball and the number one starter, Aaron Nola. Great pitcher, really great. Their number 2 guy is a long time ago Cy Young Award winner, Jake Arrieta, who had a 3.96 ERA. And the 3 other starters behind him, nobody out there could name them. Like Zach Efron is one. I can't even name. Pravetta is another one.
Yeah, they're
That-
not in-
They won't even finish in 3rd place this year.
I don't think signing Harper was their intention to win the World Series this year. What he will do is be the face of the franchise, and he will draw other free agents in the years to come.
Yeah, I believe they don't expect to win now. Dallas Keuchel is still out there. He threw 205 innings last year with a 3.74 ERA. He would be a good number 3 guy.
he would be a good guy for the Yankees because Severino just got hurt yesterday.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
your Yankee pitching.
Yeah, I
there
think
this one is very
Jermaine will
concerning.
step in for him, only David.
That's what they're
German-
saying,
German
but-
or Jermaine.
I wish they could get Keuchel because Keuchel reminds me a lot of Happ. He's a slow ball pitcher, and he's innings eater, and he's a pro. And I think if they gave him a big fat 1-year deal with options for the 2nd year and the 3rd year that kick in on performance bonuses, he could get the kind of money he's looking for. And the Yankees are really all in this year. They can't afford.
Yeah.
They can't afford to come a couple feet short of the finish line.
Yeah. Now, on the free agent realm.
You don't feel German? Is that how you pronounce his last name?
I don't
David?
know.
Jermaine or
Jermaine.
German? I
He's-
think he will step in and be a very good pitcher.
Well, he's okay. I mean, but we got a team that's right there, and you need. I think a Keuchel would be a good pitcher for them because I think CC is pretty shaky too.
So Keuchel's still unsigned?
There are a few teams out there making a serious bid at him now. I think to me,
That's mind-blowing to me, yeah.
a good
I-
contract for him is 3 years, $40 million. 3.3 a year is a fair contract.
Well, his trouble is he's not a
13
he's a
point-
90-mile-an-hour guy.
yeah,
And he's actually gotten a little bit slower.
yeah.
Now, your team, what happens to your team if they get off to a slow start? Will they fire that manager and hire Joe Girardi?
That's a distinct possibility. Unfortunately, we have to face Bryce Harper like 5 times in the first week and a half of the season. So we have a home with them.
The fans in D.C. Will he be booed? What
I
do you
think they'll give him a standing ovation first time around. Then he'll become the enemy. But I just want to take something the caller said earlier. The shenanigans we've been through the last 2 years about the free agency. Chris Sale is in intense contract negotiation with the Red Sox now.
Is that
Chris
right?
Sale's no idiot. He's seen what's going on. He can deal with the press in Boston. He can deal with the knowledge of the fans of Fenway. So
I think he seems very comfortable in Boston.
me thinks if he gets off to a good start and he's healthy by June 1st, you can expect a contract.
Oh, yeah.
by mid-season with him. And my guess with him, how old is he? Well, I think we determined 30.
30.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not more than
is
30.
maybe a 5-year, $150 million contract would be fair.
He's a better pitcher than
Mr. Price?
David Price.
Oh, yeah.
So he ought to get at least as much money as Price is getting.
Right, I mean.
That's the key is, does he hold
Well,
together,
Price
obviously?
gets 31. So to me, if I'm his agent, is I just want $1 million more than David Price is getting.
I don't
So
think-
give me
Yeah,
30.
but you
I
know
don't
what?
think
You've
Sale's
got to
gonna
start
lose sleep.
tapping the brakes someplace. There's a guy named Mookie Betts that's on deck. There's a guy named Alexander Bogarts that's on deck. And
Andrew
like I
Benintendi.
say every week, all these guys cannot be paid like
Caller,
that.
the Red
I mean, you're
Sox
talking
are-
a potential $100 million with these three people.
They're in
right.
trouble, the Red Sox. They're a victim of their own success.
Hmm.
These are all homegrown players we're talking
Kind
about.
of like the Expos. I mean, very different, but how many great players did they bring up and they could never pay him?
Now, I can assure you, Jackie Bradley, they'll let walk.
Yeah.
He's approaching 30. He's a lifetime 238 hitter. He's
He looked pretty
Yeah,
good in
but
the World
he's only
Series.
making
Yeah, not to
peanuts.
mention a great
that
fielder,
caller?
which doesn't hurt.
Jackie Bradley's a good player.
Jackie Bradley is a guy I keep. He's only making peanuts.
He is now, but when free agency, like you said, there's just so many dollars. I mean, who would you rather have, Duke?
Yeah, but
No, but they
Jackie
might be able to
Bradley,
keep
they
him
know
and
what
not
the
pay
market
him
is. A guy
megabucks,
like
maybe.
him is not going to wheel in $20 million. You know.
No, but they have. You're right.
When
they
do
have
they
a-
get
not
rid
the
of,
type of Red Sox I'm worried
Well,
about.
to me,
It's
the
again
question was-
with Chris Sale, Mookie Betts, Bogarts, a young kid out in left field.
Benintendi.
And that's only some of them. I
Right.
mean, they're in a real tough
Oh,
shape.
they are, and they're already $40 million over the salary cap. And I mean, I don't think they can keep Bogarts and Betts.
There was some
One
talk
has
there.
to go.
It sounded like they were talking to some folks about Bogarts last season, I think.
But how many shortstops can hit like Bogarts?
But again, they can't keep.
See, I
they're not
would
gonna
take
keep all these
Bogarts
guys.
over Mookie Betts.
I would
because
take
of the
Bogarts
position.
over Betts myself.
That's-
And I love Mookie, and he's one of the best players in baseball. But like I said before, an outfielder's a little bit easier to replace than a shortstop. And I love him to death, but there's only so much money to go around, and this conversation could definitely go in circles with some great valid points. But I'm sure they're not going to hit $300 million.
And that's the same reasoning I have. If I was a team, I would have taken Machado over Harper just because a 40 home run guy infielder is a lot harder to find than an outfielder.
The Red Sox have so much dead money though right now. A couple of years from now, they got
Still have what?
Hanley
Pablo for some
Ramirez.
bucks. Hanley.
Hanley Ramirez and Pablo Sandoval. There's probably $40 million right there.
Rusney Castillo gets $14 million a year.
Yeah, but I don't think he counts on the cap because he's still.
Oh,
in the
he's
minor
still in
leagues.
Pawtucket.
Yeah, you're right. That's
You're
why.
right.
That's why you'll never see him.
Exactly.
So they
Fenway.
could handle more money because they got so much dead money.
Yeah.
In a couple of years, they'll have. That Pablo Sandoval deal was just awful.
But let me ask you this, caller.
Right about that.
Could the Red Sox spend $300 million and not care about the salary cap? And if they have to cut a check for $20 million to Major League Baseball, would they really care?
Well, they didn't seem
I
too
think if
concerned
they
last
were
year.
willing to spend, they would have been a little more active this winter. Really, they did nothing, which is fine. I like our team, but if they were going to be big spenders, they would have been a little bit more active, I think.
I think the barometer there was, with what he just said, was that they had zero interest in Kimbrel.
What is Kimbrel? Is Kimbrel still out there?
Oh, yeah.
Is there a chance? I mean, is there obviously a
No
chance?
chance for the Red Sox.
Right, but is there a chance nobody will grab this guy?
There is a very good chance.
Well, if he doesn't want to take a deal that's worth that's the right money, then I'm sure he's had offers. All these
For
guys,
like a year or two, like $5 mil a year or something?
Oh no,
More than that?
I think he could get 10 from somebody for a one-year contract. But, I don't want to sit here and say I'm Nostradamus, but I'm a man who's ahead of his time. I told you 10 years ago about the value of relief pitchers, and it's come to fruition with sabermetrics about they're important cog on your team, but they're not as valued as as they once
How
were.
many free agents are out there unsigned right now?
I
Are we
would
still
say at
talking
least
dozens?
50.
50?
Probably, yeah.
And obviously, a lot of these people will not be signed, right? Their
Right. Now,
careers
like
are over.
our good friend Clay Buchholz signed for $3 million last week
Really, 3 mil?
with Toronto. Yeah. So, anything else?
Yeah,
caller?
you know, I think Kimbrel, in my opinion only, it better hook on and sign with somebody
Really?
and show the league that he can still pitch
Yeah.
because he was really going over the other side last year. And he's got, before he makes some big money, he's got to kind of redeem himself a little bit. And sitting out a year, you know, is certainly not going to do that for him. His value will be even less next year. You know, these guys, they've got to sign someplace, you know, and just stay active in the game. Another guy that could help somebody out is Adam Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not the Adam Jones of 8 years ago,
Yeah.
but the guy still has a great glove. He can still hit 20-something home runs, drive in 75 RBIs. You know, so there is still a lot of them out there.
Yeah.
One guy you forgot to mention, Nighthawk, when you said the additions on your Nats is Robles.
Well, right. The 21-year-old, he's got a ton of pressure on his shoulders because everybody's expecting him to be the Rookie of the Year.
Oh, yeah.
And the funny thing, and I don't believe I said this, the Nats outfield this year, complete outfield, will be earning under $10 million.
Right.
Adam Eaton gets 8.4 a year. You got runner-up Juan Soto, Rookie of the Year runner-up, and
Making
left getting
nothing.
minimum wage. And you got this Victor Robles, age 21, playing center field
Really?
at minimum
Wow.
wage. So, but
Trey
Robles,
Turner can't be making a whole lot.
yeah.
You know who nobody said anything about? Evan Gaddis.
Oh, yeah. He
Yeah.
you know, somebody needs a DH. This guy can hit 25, 30 home runs.
He could be out.
Yes.
'Cause he
'cause
had,
he
last-
can't play a position.
He only hit 226 last year with 25 home runs.
Right.
Logan Morrison.
Okay, I'll let you guys go, and a great show, and have a good evening, guys.
Thank
Thanks,
Thanks for
caller.
calling.
How
Thanks.
about Adam
Well,
Jones?
Wait, he mentioned Adam Jones, and the problem with Adam Jones is he played for Baltimore forever, and nobody knows about him. But Adam Jones quietly was one of the better ball players for the last 8 years.
He's been a terrific
Now,
player.
Logan Morrison, who you just mentioned, 2 years ago for Tampa, he hit 37 home runs, signed a contract with the Twinkies, and didn't have that good of a
How about a 186
year.
with 15 home runs
Yeah.
last year?
Really?
Yeah.
See, some of these guys, you know, the guy who's really Jones wants. They're saying he wants a major league contract, but he'll almost have to take a minor league contract.
Yeah. You know, I don't have any objection to Sonny Craig Kimbrell. I know he wanted a 6-year, $100 million contract. That's ridiculous. I try to be a fair person. I would say a 3-year, 35.
But at this late date, is there somebody, might he get that contract
Well,
from somebody?
listen, remember Philadelphia had all that stupid money?
Yeah.
Well, they only signed Bryce Harper. They still have a plethora of money out there. My feeling is they're either going to get Kimbrell or Kutchel here within the next week, one or
Yeah.
the other.
Kitchell is a good.
I
He's a
would
good
take
pitcher.
him.
Boy, I'd
Yeah.
take. I'd love.
Yeah.
I'd love him.
Yeah.
So so did Harper just want to get out? Did he have no interest, do you think, in sticking with the Nats?
Again, David and I are only speculating. Me thinks they pulled the deal. I think.
But he didn't. But I mean, it was
let
an
me
early
also say
deal.
this. When they talked to the owner a week or two ago at spring training, I also saw an interview with him in December during the winter meetings, and he said, "We've gone past the Harper. We gave him a more than fair offer." And then he kind of got criticized. Boris wasn't happy because that was one of his cards he was playing. Well, you got X number of teams with Washington wanting him. So was Washington in it to a small extent, but they're right up against the cap. They've got Victor Robles ready to play. Would I wish he stayed? Yeah, but I look at the big picture. We've got Anthony Rendon. I said on the show numerous times, that is a bigger keeper. Their third baseman, only second best third baseman in the league, only second to Nolan Arenado. who I pointed out to David last week.
Yeah.
He signed that
Big contract, 260.
Really?
for how many years?
8.
8 years, 260. Now, Duke, always, when you're talking about a Denver player, look at the splits. Arenado last year, or lifetime, he's a 320 hitter at Denver,
Yeah.
263 on the road. Okay, so you can take any pretty good ball player, stick him in Denver, and the numbers really aren't accurate. Now, he is a multi-Gold Glove winner at third, and he's a nice guy. The fans love him. He is literally the face of the franchise, so I don't really have an issue there. Colorado's going to be a perennial
How about
500 team.
how about to switch a little bit? How about the Giants not even offering Landon Collins a contract?
I did want to talk a Hall of Shame here. Today, Stephen Wright, 80-game suspension for PED
Stephen Wright of the Red Sox,
of the Red Sox.
Is that,
Yeah.
a knuckleballer.
Yeah. Now,
is that
yeah.
right?
Okay, Red Sox knuckleballer Stephen Wright
Holy cow!
was suspended 80 games on
Really?
Wednesday after testing positive for a performance-enhancing substance.
Really? 80?
Major League Baseball said Wright tested positive for growth hormone releasing peptide 2. Well, I don't know.
How stupid are these
So,
guys?
Duke,
I mean, did they think
can
they're
I
just
tell you
not going to be
something?
caught?
If I'm an athlete, professional athlete, if I'm putting a children's Bayer aspirin in my mouth, I am going to check whether
They know exactly what
they
they're
know
doing.
exactly, David. So
So he's just saying he's not going to get caught for some reason?
Well, I think what they do is they juice up in the off season and hope that it's gone.
David,
By the regular
that's my
season.
thought too.
Unless
Stephen Wright looks like a librarian. Okay, he's a knuckleballer that throws about 62 miles an hour. I'm not sure why he
He's
needs
just
it.
doing it to heal.
So
Feel
80,
better.
80 games, and that's to say he can't play postseason also, right?
Right.
Okay, so my question to you as a Red Sox fan, do you make him an example and cut him?
Well, I'd be tempted. I mean, he's been worthless ever since they threw him in pinch running in San Diego.
Now, you have to remember, 2016, he did make the All-Star team.
Yeah.
In fact, you had him. Yeah, you had him for half the season. Cy Young.
At the halfway point, he was my Cy Young
Wow,
Award
that's
winner.
that's.
So
I didn't know that.
I'm not sure I'd be holding my breath on Stephen Wright doing anything for me.
yeah.
Is that right? He's 80 games.
Yeah.
Huh?
So a couple other things, David, and I promise we'll get to the gridiron. We mentioned the DH. Also coming in 2020, next year, the David Handy special, which I said to him for the last half dozen years.
The bigger.
David,
bigger
you're
rosters.
nuts. So they will go.
Not banning the shift.
They're going 25 to 26, adding
all
an
right.
extra. But you can see right now that the league is kind of giving in to the union a little bit right now to.
They're going to give them some of these things so that they can keep, because the players are really getting the veteran players. When a guy turns 30 now, the free agent bonanza is over.
Yeah. And David, again, I know a lot of folks hate sabermetrics, but the days of managing, whether you're a general manager or the field manager, by the gut are over.
The facts are the facts.
Right. You get Ivy Leaguers with white shirts and red ties, and those are the most important people in your organization. They will break down a person, and that's exactly what baseball is. It's a mental game. It's all about numbers, and everything they talked about, it's the God's honest truth. Now, the other one, which we'll all be happy, September, when you jump from 25 to 40, it will only be 25 to 28,
Oh yeah.
which makes
Finally.
The
sense.
other thing they'll probably do too is I believe they're going to do something so that teams like Toronto won't be starting Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in the minor leagues, so that he doesn't start. The clock doesn't start on his.
Okay, Vladdy Guerrero, Duke, is the number one prospect
Is that
in all
right?
of baseball.
Really?
What is he, a third baseman?
Third baseman.
Okay. However, Toronto isn't going to do anything this year. So why wait?
Despite having Clay Buchholz.
Yeah. Don't pick on Clay Buchholz. He had a 2.01 ERA now.
He's good for 12 games.
But he's going to get shelled at Rogers.
Yeah.
For the record, the Blue Jays, I'm sure you know this, will be playing in Olympic Stadium
Yes,
at least
they
one
will.
game, March 25 against the Brewers.
Well, I was listening to the general manager of Toronto on the radio the other day.
He's great, isn't he?
He's good. He goes, well, Vladdy still needs a lot of work on his defense.
Right.
So he's not going to be starting with the major league team.
So,
So
okay.
he's a top prospect in baseball.
He is one hitting machine.
Wow.
He's a chip off the old block.
So David wants to talk about the New York Football Giants.
We have a Hawk.
we
We got
got
a
another
call.
caller.
We do have a call, and I didn't have. I don't know what I do with my Giant notes. Good evening. You're on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. Go ahead.
Go ahead, caller.
This is Patrick. I was just wondering.
Yeah, go ahead.
My cousin Cal is playing in the MLB. He's been
Oh, I bet he's
playing
a
every
Raleigh.
day in spring training.
You're talking about Cal Raleigh,
Yeah, Cal Raleigh.
the catcher. Yeah, he's in. Is he at spring training
Yeah.
camp? Now, who did he sign with?
Seattle.
Yeah,
Seattle.
he's also playing in the spring training games.
Yep. So he's in
Wow.
Arizona.
That's great.
Yep. So he's your uncle.
He's my cousin.
He's your cousin.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. The Seattle Mariners actually has very high hopes for Cal. The guy's an extremely good hitter for a catcher. Does need a little work on his defense, but they actually expect Cal Raleigh to be in the major leagues in about 2 years.
So we'll definitely start in the minors.
Yeah. Yeah. So cousin
Wow.
Cal, he's got a good future.
That's great.
And remember, Patrick, be good to him because in a few years, your cousin Cal will be making millions of dollars.
We hope. He hopes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you play baseball, Patrick? Patrick,
Yes, I do play baseball.
what position do you play?
I play catcher and pitcher.
You're a smart
Wow.
guy. The best route to
Yeah.
major leagues
Be a
is
catcher.
number one's catcher, number two pitcher. So you're pretty smart.
Just make sure you're a very good defensive catcher and do what hitting you can. But
Yeah.
Be the best defensive catcher you can be.
Yeah. And how old are you, Patrick?
Okay.
How
8.
old?
I think you said 8. 8?
8. And who's your favorite baseball team? Probably Seattle. then.
Well, it's got to be the Seattle Mariners now.
There
It
you
used
go.
to be
Yeah.
the Red Sox.
Yeah.
Understandable.
So, well, Patrick, thank you very much for calling in.
You're welcome.
Good night.
Thanks.
Good night, Patrick.
Well, that's good reason to pay some attention
I watch
to the
him. He
Mariners.
looks like a major leaguer. That kid.
He's
doesn't he?
All right.
Oh,
he's,
yeah.
he's
Yeah.
very stout.
Yeah.
And it's true. You don't have to be a great hitter. If you can hit 235 and you got a good arm, it can,
He's got power.
I did
got
catch one of
heat.
the Raleigh boys long ago in Winter Haven, spring training with the Red Sox. And in fact, I think it was that night, the famous Duke Kentucky game, when I was just about throwing cheers around my motel room, as in the Christian Leitner Grant Hill shot.
yeah,
I heard Christian on live radio yesterday.
yeah,
But
yeah.
good old days in
I'm
Winter
glad
Haven.
Patrick called. I forgot all about Cal.
Yeah, that's
so. I'm
great.
assuming he's probably 21 years of age.
Well, all done college. So
Yeah,
Did you
maybe.
check your tweet machine
all right.
with that?
Yeah, 21, 22 probably.
Yeah. So
Leonard usually pays attention to,
Yes,
to
he
those
does.
guys.
he does. So,
Wow, that's
anyways,
great. That's
so
great.
David Handy here is down on the New York Giants. They did not put a tag yesterday on Landon Collins, and I'm going to explain to David why. He
Oh, I
can't.
didn't say I was down. I just saying I thought it. I believe that Gettleman has a plan, and whatever he does is fine with me.
Yeah. Landon Collins is one of the best safeties at tackling. Okay. He's phenomenal. He's led the Giants in tackling the 4 years he's been with the team. However, David, in my opinion, I think I know a little bit about football, is he's poor at coverage. And they don't feel like he's worthy of that $11.5 million tag. Doesn't mean they won't negotiate with him for a long-term contract, but I do not foresee the Giants re-signing him. And the Giants, as we sit here on March 6th, have 0 starting safeties.
I know.
Really?
I mean, the Giants, I would love to sit here so optimistic about the upcoming season, but this team looks really, really bad on paper. And I do need to point out, 2 weeks from, well, actually, a week from tomorrow, the free agent market opens up. So I'm going to kind of reserve some of my.
Cal's 22.
He's 22, right? So and he's not ready for the majors yet, but maybe by
Hit 288 last year in the minors.
he played minors. It was last year.
Or maybe did he? Maybe it's fall ball.
Yeah, but I suspect
what it said.
he'll make it. So we'll see what the Giants do. As David and I always like to say, free agency opens up on Thursday, and if you ain't signed by midnight Friday, you missed the boat.
Now the big talk. The big talk.
Wait,
in the
I'm
New York-
having a feeling. I think you're listening to the radio too much at work, David.
Well, I
Here,
barely.
is that
No, the big talk in the New York Post, however, is that Kyler Murray
Kyler
does
Murray.
not have the deportment of a franchise quarterback.
the what?
The deportment. He can't handle the media.
Deportment. That's like a college word, isn't
Yeah,
it?
you know what he means.
There's a lot of talk that his interviews are terrible,
Okay.
and
Yeah,
that
I've heard some of that.
even though he's got the arm.
Are you telling me he's not highly educated?
No, I'm telling you that he's not the kind. When you watch an interview with
Okay, when they're interviewing
Eli
David,
Manning,
right?
Tom Brady,
Are they asking him questions about breaking defenses down?
I
and he
think-
probably can't answer that because no, I'm not his attorney, but he splits his time playing baseball.
Well,
so he probably hasn't focused.
the scouts were saying that he hasn't been. They haven't coached him up on quarterback speak, but they're thinking that maybe he's not. He doesn't have the leadership set,
Okay.
the leadership skill that you want. I was reading one of the guys that was talking about it was a guy from Cleveland who picked Baker Mayfield.
Yep.
He said the thing is when we pick Baker Mayfield, you put Baker Mayfield in a room, he commands the room.
Yeah.
And when you want a quarterback, that's exactly what you want.
Yeah.
And I would say that Murray's personnel maybe is shrinking.
Okay.
And but I don't know. I don't know anything about him.
David, the word I've got from my inside sources is that the Cards want him for the top pick. Josh Rosen, who they took
Last
10th overall. But
They
I'm-
actually
I'm
used up a
hearing-
couple of picks to
I'm
draft up to get him.
hearing that you can get Rosen with a second round pick. So I thought about the Patriots, who essentially got the top pick in the second round because they were the last pick of the first round. But would the Patriots consider giving up their 32nd pick for Josh Rosen, let Rosen sit the bench a year or two? I don't know. Would the Giants give up their second round pick?
They were saying
for
he's
Josh
only going
Rosen?
that the Cards want more, but all these guys said they wouldn't even give a third round pick for Rosen.
But I've also heard, David, Duke, you just read away. Dave and I will, and I'll have some iced tea over here, please. I read that if Josh Rosen was coming out of UCLA this year instead of last year, he'd be the top graded quarterback. So I haven't completely given up on him.
Well, I watched another mock draft today, and they still have the Giants taking
With Haskins, right.
My man Daniel, no way. My man Daniel Jones. What's the?
Duke, I read a mock draft that
I don't even think he's a top
the
five, is he?
Giants not taking a quarterback the first round, but Daniel Jones would be available to the Giants in the second round.
Yeah.
He didn't show all that great. He wasn't horrible, but he didn't wow anybody at the combine.
Now Haskins didn't want anybody either, especially with his speed.
Right.
Awfully slow.
Yes. Haskins is a pocket quarterback, and the problems with Haskins is he's only got a 13-game resume. So I certainly do not want to draft Haskins. So if we take him,
I got a feeling. I don't think the Giants are going on a toilet this year. I got a feeling. I don't know. Maybe it's just a sixth sense. I can't say. The Giants are going to get rid of Beckham. They're going to get rid of Olivier Vernon.
Let me start there. Olivier Vernon, I did denote that he is out on the market right now. He earned $17 million. You can explain this to me, Mr. Capologist.
I don't know how when they get rid of Emil, they
Okay, his contract is for $17 million. The first year he played with the Giants, he was great, and he's been a bum since. So if they trade him, they take a $19.5 million cap hit, and he's $11.5 million off the books. So I'm not really
don't know
sure.
how it works
I
either.
just watched the game.
because the Giants don't have much loose cap money. They've only got about $20 million.
They have very little money, and that's part of the reason why they let Collins go. We're in a really tough situation. We really are. And that's why I'm saying, David, we've got to get an offensive tackle, shore up that line, and pray that we score 35 points a game because we're going to be giving up 30
Well,
points.
I got a feeling if they could get rid of Beckham, get rid of Vernon, they got a whole pile of draft picks, draft a whole pile of Mog Hollies and defensive players, and then maybe this year go in the tank, get a good pick for next year. There's a lot of quarterbacks next year. You're going to have the guy from Clement,
Alabama, the kid, Tula,
Tula Vula, whatever his
Whatever,
name
yeah.
is. And then you got maybe the kid from Clemson may go in.
the long hair.
Yeah.
So we got to give him a haircut first.
Who he looks like he's going to be the number one pick when he goes.
Looks like a guy from the 70s, kind of a free spirit type.
You know who he reminds
kid.
me a little bit of was the guy that was with the Raiders, the Robo quarterback. His old man screwed him up bad. Marinovich.
Marinovich. Yeah. And you mentioned Baker Mayfield. To me, he looks like a 1950s Baker Mayfield's the type of guy that'll grab you by the throat, give you one shot in the head, and then go drink 6 beers with you.
He's the old from the old Sammy Boz school.
He is old school.
So I got a feeling that's what the Giants are going to do. Don't ask me why, because you'd have thought a team that doesn't have any safeties getting rid of their best defensive player.
Yeah. But here's what the Giants should have done with Collins is made him an outside linebacker. That is my feeling.
Well, they should make him. What's a safety that does less coverage?
That would be the weak safety.
And he's
because
been
the
their
strong
strong
safety
safety.
plays over the tight end.
Yeah, he should be because he's a great run blocker. But the Giants, I think, have a plan. They're still in a state of transition.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna have another long season next year. It's too bad we just can't take Saquon Barkley, have him go on the injured reserve for ingrown toenail, and save him.
Save him,
Because we need to have him good in about 2-3 years.
So, some sad news, and he's been a TV friend of mine forever. I saw a video right before I left for the studio. I saw a big headline. Alex Trebek announced, and he did it himself on about a 90-second video because he didn't want any false information.
Retiring?
No, he's got stage 4 pancreatic cancer.
Uh-oh.
And
It doesn't sound
it's
good.
the kiss of death. And I'm honest. You ever get pancreatic cancer, you're dead. You're a dead man
between,
walking. Stage 4, David, is when it's spread throughout
It's
the body.
spread and,
he's 78 years old, great guy, and he says he will fight it, but I don't expect. He says, I've got 3 years left in my contract that I expect to fulfill. But that's,
My guess is he's got between 1 and 6 months.
yeah.
'Cause that's
Yeah.
what my dad had.
Your dad had pancreatic
Yeah.
cancer?
Really?
And I've known a couple people that had it. I know one guy, he was in his 40s, well-built, outdoorsy kind of guy. And I figure if anyone's going to beat it, it's him. And
Well, by the time it gets to your pancreas, you've had it somewhere else.
okay.
It starts somewhere else and ends up in your pancreas, and then you're pretty well cooked.
Yeah. So
But there have been people today. If you've got money with the gene therapy and stuff, look, Jimmy Carter had brain cancer
Did you really?
about 5 years ago. He's still with us.
Yeah.
But
They-
David, I know nothing about medicine, but I think I'd rather have brain cancer than pancreatic cancer.
Well, I don't really want any of them.
Right.
But,
Probably don't want either.
but I think today, if you were in Boston, or if you were maybe at the Sloan Kettering or one of those places, and you've got a lot of money, and they can do this gene therapy, they actually take your DNA and design the cure to your own particular body. And I think there's been a lot of breakthroughs on that. So still, it's probably not very good. But as the years go by, that gene therapy business is unbelievable. They say in about 20, 30 years, they may have it lit completely. But the problem is, it's so expensive.
Yeah.
It's really big money.
So,
Your Medicare, your Medicare Plan B doesn't cover it.
Yeah.
I'm sure of it.
so Duke, the last 3 Saturday nights, I've been down to Northfield to Norwich hockey
Wow.
for exciting hockey. They've been in playoffs. I told you last time I saw you, they were playing Suffolk, which I now know is the county that Boston
Boston,
yeah.
resides in. So they beat them. The following weekend, we beat Batson, which is right outside
Yeah, it's
Boston.
outside Boston.
And last Saturday night, we beat Hobart, which is out western New York, I believe is where Hobart is.
I've heard of them, but I
I'm
do
not
not
sure
know
about
where it
Western
is.
New York. I'm not sure about Western New York, but anyway, New York, I think.
Is Geneseo, is that
Geneseo's New York. That's all Geneseo State. That's New York. That's another New
Well,
York.
we
is that
can-
western New York?
I think
thought
Geneseo
that's-
might be out west
That's
somewhere.
where I could be mistaken.
Yeah, I think so.
In Division III NCAA hockey postseason, they choose 12. Norwich, they were ranked 4th in the country. They received a first-round bye. So they're not playing this weekend. So
Geneva, New York.
it's in Geneva. Thank you, David. Now, where's Geneva located?
Geneva's over by
Know the name, but
Western New York. I think it's
It is
over by
Western.
Rochester and over
Yeah,
that way.
that's Western New York. So
Right.
Norwich will be playing on March 16th, and they will be playing the winner of Trinity, which is in Connecticut.
Well, we know
They're-
where Trinity is. That's my daughter's old school.
Yeah, my youngest niece's old
And
school.
Trinity's playing University of New England, which I will admit I don't know where that is located either.
Boy, the University of New England.
David?
Well,
University of New England. Do you know where that is?
Henniker, isn't it?
That's New England College. That's
Oh,
where my
okay.
daughter graduated along with her husband.
Boy, I can't tell you University of New England.
David?
Okay, I'll tell you in
The
just a
tweet
second.
machine
I'm
went.
just looking up for Geneva. Geneva is near Rochester. It looks like it's on one of the Finger Lakes.
So, Duke,
yeah, Western New York.
last Saturday night, they had 2,177 fans pack the Kreitzberg.
Is that
They
capacity?
have like 1,400 seats, so
Wow.
they had close to 800 standing room.
Really?
Now, there are people, believe it or not, and I think you're one of those types, they like to go to a hockey game and stand. You know,
There's a lot of guys that like to do
a
it.
lot of guys, because I know you, when last time we went to Fenway, I spent $120 on the ticket, and I know it'd be a cold day in hell, you'd spend that.
Wouldn't do
You
it.
probably spent $40 for a standing room ticket, and you were perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So,
Near Portland.
Portland, Maine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, is that right? The University of New England. Boy, I
like
sure
it's near
couldn't have told you
Portland.
that.
So, University of Vermont Hockey, which will be attended by the Duke. I have a date Friday night with the Duke.
I trust. I
So
hope.
we're playing Lowell, it's 14th ranked team in the country.
So the only noteworthy thing about this game, it's the last game in the gut as we know it.
So I said, Duke, you've got to go to that game. You're a connoisseur of history. And this will be the last time with the bleachers in there after, since 1963.
Wow.
So they're going to gut the gut this summer/fall. And
Will it be ready? It'll be ready for
they
next season.
say it will be.
Really?
You know, if you work 7 days a week around the clock, you can get a lot of work.
I'll tell you what, when you have a contractor and you give them a day and say, I got to be done by that day, it looks like they do nothing
Yeah,
for 4 months.
it does.
And then all of a sudden, that last 3 weeks, they get it done.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, do you
amazing.
throw in penalties or something if they don't have it done by that day?
Or you pay
Or
them
or
more.
incentives if
you
they get it
you
done
pay them more
earlier?
if you get it done sooner. So there's, hey, I gotta talk a little bit of high school stuff
Oh, yeah,
today.
that's fine.
One more time. Just wait.
No, but I has to.
All right, you can go now, then I'll go back to
All
hockey.
right.
Dave, what do you want to talk about?
First thing, I'm not talking about the BFA hockey team yet.
When did they lose?
They lost last night, to CVU,
What number
Whoa.
ranked was BFA?
2, I think.
Okay.
And CVU is probably 7.
Is that right?
They lost 1-0 in overtime, 43 shots on goal.
Wow.
I heard the goalie from CVU just stood on his head.
Wow.
So
sounds
that's
like
too bad.
Sounds like the BFA goalie played a pretty good game too.
He did, and they played a good game. That's what Toby said in the paper.
Yeah.
It just say one of those things. Sometimes a goalie steals a game from you.
They do.
But what I want to talk about is the BFA Nordic ski team.
One of my favorite athletes playing.
And you,
Yes.
You don't happen to know anybody.
I
on the
do know
team.
somebody who lives in my house. BFA Nordic ski team 3 years ago, last place, terrible.
Huh.
This year we had a kid, Brooke Hodgman, one of my old hockey players,
Really?
state champion.
So
Wow, really?
he converted from hockey to
A couple years ago.
wow.
And of course Sam Handy was 12th in D1, which is pretty good out of about 100.
Yeah.
Really?
And it's a two-day thing. The cross country state championship. They had
Really? Where was this?
the skating part was in Craftsbury at
Oh,
their
wow.
recreation center.
The famous Craftsbury Place.
Unbelievable, beautiful, just gorgeous.
Doesn't Bill Lee live in Craftsbury?
I think
Yeah,
so.
he might be. He might be right.
Craftsbury is gorgeous.
There is no lack of snow throughout the state.
When you go up there, the snow level, the plain old snow, the snowbanks are 10 feet high. They got snow all over. So what happened was Brooke was second in the skating part, and BFA was third after the relays. Mount Anthony and Brattleboro were ahead of them. So then they have a couple days off, and then they have the classic skiing, which is the kind of cross-country skiing that you think of, where the skis stay in the trail.
Yep.
You can't have them sideways. You gotta, and how you do it is you just pull yourself.
How I ski when I ski.
Well, in the team event, the individual event, Brooke won that by over 20 seconds. And the BFA team, after that portion, was only 8 points out of first place.
Wow.
But I think the boys used up all their gas, and then the relay they ended up coming in third, and so they medaled for the relays. But it's a great,
David,
great story.
I will say this
Yeah, good-
about
good job.
cross-country skiing. When I was much younger, I used to look at cross-country skiing and say, that's nothing. That's anybody could do that.
Oh, that's hard.
David, let me tell you.
It's a great thing for your
I was in
body.
my late 30s, 50 pounds lighter than I am today. I was in pretty good shape. I went to the Catamount Ski Center in Williston.
Yep.
They have a nice cross-country.
Yes, they do.
David, I can honestly tell you, may God strike me dead, I never sweated so much
Oh, it's work.
in my life. I mean, my T-shirt was just drenched, and it was probably 18 degrees out, and whatever, it'll be nice, and unbelievable.
great
Thought I
thing
was
for
gonna
your
have a heart
body.
attack.
Now, I also have to mention that my neighbor and good friend, Anna Casavant, is also a downhill skier,
Yeah, yeah.
and her sister Georgia. And Anna won a few races this year, and she's, I think, did quite well in the States, came in the top 4 or 5, and she's off to the Easterns
Wow.
this week. So we got some skiers, we got some kids.
It's great.
And you know what makes me feel good is when we first started this cross country skiing, not that I had anything to do with it, but CVU, Essex, those guys used to kill us.
Yeah.
And they beat all of those guys. Though the best team was on Monday in Middlebury was Middlebury. Of course, that's their home thing. But that's a beautiful place too. The Rickert cross countries, and they have snowmaking. and you're looking in the. It's right near where the Middlebury College Snow Bowl is,
Okay.
and you're looking at all the Green Mountain National Forest and all that. So had to
That's
get
great.
that out there, and
That's
the BFA girls won their game last night, 1-0
Hockey?
hockey.
Wow.
And the BFA girls basketball team is playing right now, or maybe could be all done. They were playing St. Johnsbury in at Gutterson, not at Gutterson, but at Patrick tonight.
What seed?
3.
Oh, good.
Really?
Yeah. You know, David, you mentioned CVU about the skiing. The real question is there any sport that CVU,
Stinks at.
there's
Football.
nothing. CVU is just good at everything.
Well, they it's a well-heeled. They've got, and the kids have money.
The economic
Yeah.
standpoint, I would say the CVU school district might be the most,
yeah.
yeah.
And let me tell you something.
And I've been to CVU. Their athletic fields and stuff, just top notch, everything.
But their kids are awfully obnoxious. Not, I know nobody from CVU is watching, and actually I can throw Rice in there too. I think the BFA kids, for the most part, are really good kids, and I have no qualm. My kids did great going to BFA, and I know a lot of kids that went to BFA. I just ran into a kid that I coached in soccer in 4th grade, and not my 4th grade, his, Chris Payne, who's Dr. Payne's boy,
Yeah.
who I believe went to
I read a
Princeton.
Dr. Payne book that Duke gave me.
Oh, did you read them?
It was Rick Norcross.
About the Rick Norcross.
And-
Great book.
singer.
And
He's a good writer.
anyway, and Chris is in residency out in San Francisco.
Oh, really?
And he looks great. And so there's been a lot of kids from BFA go to plenty of top end schools. You don't have to go to Rice
That's great.
to you can go to
Hey,
any
my
good
buddy
school.
Isaac Ando, MIT, BFA's first
Yeah.
MIT kid.
He was a good
Isaac's
friend
doing-
of Joe Handy's too.
Is that right? Isaac's doing very, very well, as you might guess.
So and I think the boys basketball team, their playoffs are starting up pretty quick too. And now I'm done.
Okay.
But I had to get that in there.
Hey, that's fine.
No,
That's fine.
right. Here it is. I come to the studio tonight, and the average high is 36 degrees, and it was 11 degrees.
Oh, it's awful.
It still feels.
Very. It's been
But
But you know
very,
what? It
very
was
cold.
light when I drove over.
I meant to ask Duke that.
Guess what checks in at 2 a.m.
No,
Sunday?
My wife told me that.
EST.
So
Days
that'll
away.
feel better.
I mean, late light. We got light past. We got light till 7:15 in a.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it when she told
I
me.
don't think we've made a lot of maple syrup yet this year.
I talked to a sugar maker last week.
Boy,
said
not
very,
obviously not lately. Not
Nothing's
lately.
nothing's
Yeah,
running.
it's cold. Yeah,
And
we're
of
talking.
course, last year February was very mild, and they were producing quite a bit.
It's been it's been a real winter. No, this is cold.
The lake is frozen over too.
Is it totally?
That's what they said.
Is that you did hear it's totally frozen?
Yeah.
Because I flew back over it but it was dusk. I didn't get a good look at it when I flew back in. A week ago, last Wednesday night.
So, UVM hockey. I just have to how bad this program is, and we've basically been saying this for years.
How many empty seats will there be Friday night, Hawk?
Well, I have a
Hundreds, or-
theory. I do have a theory. UVM fans.
Of course, it's senior night.
They only have 3 seniors. You know, they might have
really?
recruited 8, and they just fall by the wayside as
And
years
if they're
go
good,
by.
they go somewhere else.
UVM fans are really good, but my simple theory is this: for a pair of tickets, I pay $48 for. Okay,
so $24.
it's $24 a ticket.
A ticket.
Now, it's easy to say, "Well, screw this! I'm not going to the game." However, when you hold the tickets in your hands, that's $48,
Sure.
and you cut a
Feel
check.
like, hey, I ought to get something for that much.
Okay.
Sure.
You cut a check for about $840 for your season ticket, and you say,
A lot of
"Oh,
money."
and not only that too. And I always talk about mental health. It's good to get out of the house. So
I love the guy. I love being in
and
there.
you're still seeing, even though UVM's no good, Lowell's a really good program.
So they're
As I
playing
mentioned,
Lowell?
14th ranked team in the country.
Really?
Now UVM this year finished second to last, 10 whole points in the Hockey East with only the perennial birdcage team, Merrimack, is always horrible.
Wow.
But just terrible. Like Lowell's in fourth, Duke, for the record, for the Hockey
All
East. So we'll see a good team.
Are they not? Is it just a Friday night? Is there a Saturday night
No
game?
Saturday, but you'll see 35
Oh.
capacities, 4,000
Yeah.
there. Now on the other side of the coin, the men's basketball team.
Hey,
that's
I give you
right, nice
in honor
looking
of the
shirt.
men's basketball team.
That basketball program
Right, very impressive.
for years and years and years and years has it's just been terrific.
So we're talking what, quarterfinal game Saturday at
They
the
play
Royal Patrick Gym?
Royal Patrick Gym, 7:00 against number ranked 8th Maine. The top four teams are pretty good. Vermont went 14-2, Stony Brook 12-4, Baltimore went 11-5, Hartford went 10-6. So assuming
And Stony Brook beat them
Right,
pretty easily
yeah.
not too long ago, right?
assuming all four top seeds win, the semis are next Tuesday, which will be at the Patrick Gym. So it looks like we'll end up playing Hartford. That's how I see it anyway.
And then could have another repeat
And
with
do they get-
UMBC.
Then do they get their usual ESPNU game, 11 o'clock Saturday,
Yeah.
the following
Right.
Saturday?
Yeah.
Yeah, UMB, who could forget that?
Well, hopefully they go that far, and I'll hit up my cousin Adam
And speaking of
for
which,
some tickets.
Oh, is Adam the handy Toyota?
Yeah.
Oh, I bet they probably give him 100 tickets.
Well,
Like
he
this,
said
I'm
if-
telling you, this handy Toyota.
Yeah.
I would love to see what their
but I just got my
marketing
notice on
budget
my
is.
202,000 mile Toyota Corolla that I got from this fine guy. And I just got my airbag notice, so I'll be visiting the good folks at Handy Toyota one of these days.
And of course, we talked about the gut being refurbished. Also this spring, between the gut and the Patrick
they'll be
Gym,
building a new
they'll
gym.
be building the Tarrant Center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he only gave a small
What,
$15 million.
mil, that's, yeah.
Well, they
donation.
made sure that they at least got a decent slug because they felt that they had sold the Davis Center for too cheap for $5 million.
Is that right?
Yeah.
But
Really?
David, here is
That's,
where I kind of scratched my head when I saw him give 15 million. I know Jerry Tarrant's super rich, and he owned the medical software company. And he said
IDX.
his first client was UVM, so he showed some loyalty. However, he was an All-American basketball player for
Boy, the
St.
Celtics
Mike's.
just about made the Celts.
He was a draft pick for the Celtics. They used to
I
have
think he was
10
like the
round-
last cut or
Was he?
something.
Yeah, Rich
Like
Tarrant.
mid 50s, I think. Does that
It
sound
was
about
back
right?
in the mid 60s.
Sorry,
64
mid-60s,
maybe,
sorry.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mid-60s.
but Tarrant was an All-American basketball player. So, but good luck, and maybe I'll have to become friends with not you, but with Adam, because it's going to be next to impossible to get a ticket for the new basketball arena. Can you imagine?
Really, next to impossible.
I think they will sell out every seat available.
Especially if they got real seats because those
They
bleachers
will
are
have real
hard.
seats,
Yeah,
right? And
that's
as
tough.
I said here a zillion times, as much as we like to complain about Gutterson, and I'll have a nice cushion for you to sit on.
Okay.
Patrick Gym is even worse.
I did finally catch a game earlier this season. I think you were on the road. I sat by myself, just sat up on the top row, the very top.
Right, even the top row of the Patrick Gym's a great seat.
No, sure. Yeah. Hey, talking basketball, again, UMBC, of course, their famous a victory that goes in the books, knocking off number one seed
Virginia.
Virginia last year. But I told you, watch out for the Cavs. I think if you're looking for, and again, March Madness is obviously not far away. Selection Sunday, a week from Sunday. Big conference battles, Duke UNC. But anyway, Virginia Cavaliers, if you're looking for a team, they're my pick.
Now, is Gonzaga number one right now?
Gonzaga's number one. Their problem, such as it is they have a weak conference. So it's always a little hard, although they beat the Dukies early.
Now,
Very good team.
how's
but
Zion?
they just don't have great in-season competition.
Is Zion Williams all better?
No, Zion Williamson is not. No, he sat out last night, and he's not expected to play. Duke's got their rematch
David,
with Carolina
here,
Saturday.
my thought.
And he's
If I'm
not.
Zion, I don't blame Zion for saying,
Right,
hey, Duke,
absolutely.
thanks for a few
If
good
I'm
months.
you stole the words right
But I
out of my
heard
mouth.
Coach K after last night's near horrible game by the Dukies against Wake Forest last night. But I heard Coach K afterward saying, I don't think Zion's going to play Saturday, but maybe first game of the ACC tournament. But anyway.
Is that still from the sneaker blow?
Oh yeah, sure. He hasn't played.
So
He hasn't played.
David, if I'm Zion, I get my nice fluffy pillow out of the dorm,
And I
jump
wouldn't-
in your
I
car
wouldn't blame him.
and get,
But he-
because
Yeah.
he is the number one pick, and the Knicks are on their knees right now praying they get him because they're going to. Kyrie Irving is gone. We'll get into Kyrie here momentarily, and I expect Kevin Durant to sign with the Knicks in the offseason.
But Zion, I think I get the sense that he's hoping he will come back, can come back and play.
But with the new, and I haven't seen you in 3 weeks, but since I've seen you, that rule 18 or what?
Oh,
what's
the one and done.
the one and done is gone now after the
Is
season,
it
right?
gone? I was hearing it was probably going to be gone.
Because a guy like Zion Williamson, who I knew nothing about until he signed with Duke. Well, when Nick Mumley was here, he goes, "What? You guys don't know about Zion Williamson? I've been watching him on YouTube for the last 3 years."
I knew the name, but I
Right,
didn't mean much
because
to me.
he was a phenomenon as a sophomore in high school. But a guy like him would be in the pros today.
But I keep hearing folks saying, hey, if Williamson's playing with Duke, look for Dukies to be the champs. Forget it. Last night, again, no Williamson. This is not a good Wake Forest. The line, you know what the line last night was? Wake at Duke.
16.
Good guess. Way off. How about 26? And it's funny. I had duty. I was working here last night with town meeting day coverage. The game was on, of course, ESPN at 7. Of course, I don't tape anything. But last night, I'm wandering around, and I happened to check ESPN UOC, and they replayed the game at about 10 o'clock. But I probably, fortunately, fell asleep late first half. Back and forth game, Wake's hanging with them. Wake just missed. It was almost like the Dookie shot last year that almost got into the Final Four that just didn't quite go in. I didn't see it, but Wake had they were down by 1 point. Childress took a 3-point shot, missed that. Wake gets a rebound with like a second left. The guy puts up a short jumper that I guess just barely rolled off the win. That would have been a terrible loss for the Dukies. But anyway, I think Virginia's a better bet. In Carolina, and I wasn't happy with Coach K. Carolina killed Duke when Williamson went
I watched
down.
that game.
Saw that?
I did.
But all I hear after the game is I finally catch Coach K talk about, crying and stuff, And again, a huge injury. I mean, that might have cost him another championship. But still, I'm going, geez, Coach K. There are all these other colleges out there saying, God, we lost Zion and we didn't know what we were doing. I'm saying, geez, Coach K, what did that leave you with? Just another 7 or 8 McDonald's All-Americans?
Yeah, first
sure-
round. You got 5 first-round
Right,
picks.
I'm
on
sure
your
another
team.
300 coaches are really crying. I was very saying, give me a break. Carolina played out of their minds. Forget Williamson. They deserved it. They blew you guys off the court. They got a ton of easy baskets. So, and you're giving me this crying about losing your top guy?
In fact,
so for the record, I was not happy
Duke
with them.
got the top 3 McDonald All-Americans with Zion, Reddish, and
Cam Reddish and
who was the other?
it's,
Aren't
another.
they having a hard time making threes this year?
Oh yeah, they've been one of the worst.
And
out of
if
what,
you can't make
300?
threes, if you can't make threes,
That's what I was going to say.
in, in this kind of
if
basketball,
they're
you're in
hitting
trouble.
their threes, they probably will win another championship. Without their threes, who knows?
I noticed your old friend Grayson Allen. He got sent down to the minor
Oh,
leagues.
did he? Did he really?
Yeah. And remember Jabari Parker, another
So
one and done.
he keeps moving around.
He's on Washington now. I saw him against the Celtics last week, and a lot of these
I'm
guys.
sorry, J.R. Barrett, who's having a heck of a year.
Who's that?
He's the other Dookie top guy, J.R. Barrett.
Oh, Barrett.
Oh,
Yeah, right.
He's having he was single-handedly
They've got
keeping him in
him
against
slated
Wake
as
last
being
night.
the 5th overall pick.
No,
One of the
he's-
Gonzaga
he's
people
really good. Yeah.
is number 4, and this Jay Morant is going to be slated to
Right.
go as number 2.
Yeah.
But Kyrie Irving, all
Jeez.
in, David, at the start
We're
of the
talking
season.
just high
Celtics-
maintenance.
According to a column by Kevin O'Connor in The Ringer, Kyrie Irving has become, quote unquote, disengaged and detached from his Celtic teammates.
Although last night he looked pretty good. The whole team looked pretty good
they
last
did.
night.
Per the report, 2 sources peg Irving's change in demeanor to early February, around the time he was asked about the possibility of joining the New York Knicks next season. Oddly, over the Celtics' last 17 games, Celts are 6-0 without Irving in the lineup. and just 3-8 with Kyrie in the lineup. So that has to say something.
Your boy that had the broken ankle had 30 points last night, didn't he?
Yeah, Gordon Hayward had a big
Yeah.
had a big
And
game last night.
Over the
Yeah,
last
he did.
4 games prior, he averaged 5.2 points, and he shot 31% from the
Before last night.
But
Yeah, I did have a good game
so,
last night.
And again, I still remember telling Duke last summer, probably during golf, Duke, the NBA season, what a waste.
And
Just
what-
put
and
the
what-
Warriors and Celtics in the
And
finals.
what did I tell you? Give me a break. Assume nothing.
He
And I believe-
tires of me.
I believe someone who quite close to you. I had a very spirited discussion with him about the same thing. Hey, don't assume anything.
These basketball players have such
But Kyrie,
inflated egos. They're
Oh, they
so
do.
tough
Hawk,
to
what do you
handle.
think? I have such
I
mixed
want
feelings
Kyrie-
about Kyrie.
I want him gone. I watch
You want him
every
gone?
game.
It's all right. You had enough of him.
I didn't watch much last night because it was on TNT. I
Right.
hate the announcers.
Oh, really?
You know, when you got Scal or Tommy Heinsohn and then Gorman, the best of the best.
So you want him gone?
I want him gone.
It just seems
Gordon
seems like
Hayward-
he's too high maintenance to
Gordon
me.
Hayward's agent said, "Trust me, he'll be back to All-Star caliber next year."
Yeah,
It's
I
kinda
mean
like
he has
said.
he has occasional
Right,
great games where he
right.
does look like he's
but
back.
I believe the team, and I'll do a quote unquote there, is better off without Irving because the ball gets spread around more. They have a bigger sense that they're part of it.
But what about the Anthony Davis thing? I've heard some big basketball people say, "Hey, the Anthony Davis thing screwed up the Celtics, Lakers, and his team, and the Pelicans and stuff." Just this
don't have a
lust
prediction.
for Anthony Davis.
Now, of course, Anthony Davis, who might be top 3 best basketball player in the league,
Yeah.
his father said, "Do not go to
Right.
Boston. You saw the screw job they gave to the little fella,
Oh, Isaiah Thomas.
Isaiah Thomas."
What's Isaiah Thomas doing now?
He
He finally just started playing again
Denver.
for
and
Denver.
when he was
Good team.
scoring 29 points a game with Boston,
He'd
and
give
his
up that many
infamous
defensively?
line, his infamous line is, "They're going to have to back up the Brinks truck to
Yeah,
re-sign
didn't
me," jokingly,
happen.
because he loved playing in Boston.
And he
but-
was great. I mean,
But I told
he was
Duke
a
all
tough
along
guy.
he was a one-trick pony. Yeah, he could shoot, but he's 5'8", couldn't play defense. So you're short one guy at the other end of the court. So I had no qualms when they traded him to Cleveland. But I can see why Cleveland didn't mind getting rid of Irving. It's all about Kyrie. That's the way I really feel. You mentioned the
You
word
didn't
ego.
sound this strong. Have you gotten stronger
Just
feelings
by
about
watching
him?
over the season,
Really?
and just by the simple fact, the last 17 games, 6 games, he didn't play
Yeah.
with these phantom injuries. They went 6-0 without him. I'm telling you, they look
guy-
completely different without him on the floor.
The guy is a very good player. This guy is a very good player.
You know, you keep Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
He's going to be just a quiet star. He's not a vocal guy. And Jaylen Brown's a lot better when Irving's not around.
I have mixed feelings, but I think I'm tending to, I'm just getting tired of the Kyrie thing.
Now, I did watch.
But I'm not sure I'm being fair to him.
I did watch the Faraday on both shows.
He's coming to Montreal, by the way.
Oh, is
Faraday?
that right?
Yeah, like Ellen DeGeneres is coming
Oh,
up
yeah.
to the Bell
yeah,
Center.
he talks. I could have
Yeah.
seen him in Savannah, Georgia.
And
years
he's coming
ago.
to Montreal. I'm not sure what venue.
I would think that'd be a pretty fun thing to say.
yeah.
He had Freddie Couples on.
Yeah, I think for 2 shows, I
For
think.
2 shows, it was good. Freddie's
Yeah,
good.
Freddie's good.
Freddie's very
didn't see it, but
witty,
good.
and Freddie
No,
was all right.
Faraday's very good.
Now, the TPC,
Speaking of golf,
that next
2,
weekend?
we got
No,
Arnold
we
Palmer,
got-
Arnold Palmer Invitational.
We got Arnold Palmer this
Bay
week.
Hill tomorrow, and TPC the following week.
next weekend, right?
Yeah,
Not
I mean
10
a
days,
week from
10
Thursday.
days,
Yeah. Or eight days start. So Tiger's not. Tiger was going to play. He's won Arnold Palmer a million times. The next strain, you caught that news?
Yeah, I did.
Again, getting all the stories about, wow, just when we thought Tiger was back with us, looking a little
Tiger's
shaky.
going to have a tough time from here on in.
Yeah,
Well, Freddie was talking about his back.
that's been his issue forever.
David,
right?
you intimated a number of years ago that you believed that Tiger was a PED guy.
Oh, and I
And-
still think so.
A lot of the reason why his body's breaking down is because of
Well, what happened? You just overtax the muscles, and they're too big for the joints. They weren't meant to be that big.
Yeah.
And when you get older, takes a lot out of you. And the thing is, if you're going to play professional golf, you just don't go up like we do and get out of the car and take your bag and put it on the car.
David, that's exactly what we do.
You get out of the car or get out of the car, put your bag on the car, you
Now,
go get a
let-
beer.
let me tell you about- let me
let's
tell you
be-
about Duke.
Let's be clear here.
Let me tell you about Duke. Okay.
Well, talk
If
about
we're-
yourself. Don't
If
talk
we're
about me.
at 9:45, okay, he'll get there at 9:44 or 15 seconds, or actually 2 minutes late. He will come running
Not
out of the
usually
car,
late, I don't think.
bag on his shoulder, bare feet.
Yes.
He'll
That's
go ahead,
happened.
Duke, hit. Then he'll get to a second shot, put his shoes on.
No.
But that's pretty much we
I
get
thought
out
I
the
heard you say cart there. That's why.
Yeah,
I
I get, you know, we get,
We walk.
we
walk.
get our, well, we walk sometimes, but a lot of times you
But
get in
we
your car.
get out of the vehicle, take about 3 practice swings, and hit.
Yeah, and now contrast that to a tour pro.
They hit for 90 minutes before.
Yeah, and
they
that
probably
doesn't count.
practice a little.
And that doesn't count when they're really working.
Yep.
When they've got a little hitch in their giddy up, and their swing coach is there, and they're filming them, and they're working on the trajectory and the ball spin and all that other crap. So when your body starts breaking down, you can't hit those 500 balls a day.
Yeah.
And so it's tough. That's why Langer, that's what Freddie was saying, why
Bernard, talk about a
Langer
great
is still
golfer.
so good is that he works on his game all the time.
Yeah,
But
that-
his-
Same with VJ
But
Singh.
he has a slight build body.
And
yeah, he doesn't have a huge
Bernard
body.
does not look like
Yeah, what
today's
about
golfer.
Vijay? Not my favorite guy. Vijay almost became the oldest guy.
yeah,
in,
he put up a good fight.
Yeah,
Um,
that was good to do. I caught Steve.
enjoyed
Gentini
that.
Honda
I like
Classic.
seeing-
the beer chop's kind of fun.
I like seeing an old guy. I still have regrets about Tom Watson's British
Jeez.
Open.
I had forgotten he made it. He got into.
He
a-
was
got into a
59 years
playoff.
old. If that ball he hit on the 18th hole had hit another foot further,
Is that right?
it wouldn't have hit the hard pin. It would have hit the soft. It never would. The ball wouldn't have rolled off.
Wow.
And
Is
he'd
that
have,
right?
he'd have
Another
won the
foot?
British Open
Because I forgot he got into a play. He still had a playoff and then lost the playoff.
because he couldn't get up and down off the green.
Oh, I was actually listening to on radio.
And
I was catching
and of
that
course
on radio.
Stuart Sink was in full glory then.
Um,
And you knew when they were playing those 4 extra holes, Tom was done. He'd used up all his gas.
So we had another kind of new guy who won Honda Classic again. Brooks Koepka and Ricky Fowler were in it. I think -8, and Keith Mitchell, the name who I
Came
think
out
meant
of
nothing.
nowhere.
But what a clutch putt. The 18th is a par 5. I don't like 18s with par 5s anyway. But he's on in 3. I think he was had to lay up. Anyway, so it looked like it was going to a 3-way playoff, and I like Ricky. I like all those guys.
Hey,
Koepka's good.
Ricky played really well. He made a couple of big putts in the end too.
Absolutely. So Keith Mitchell's got a 15-foot, looks like it's going to a 3-way playoff. He's got a 15-foot birdie putt to win the thing. You know, not too much pressure and stuff, and he nails it. Middle of the cup for his first win, but a very impressive win at the Honda
was fun to
Classic.
watch.
How old is he? What college?
Oh, I
Georgia.
don't. You're talking
27.
about. Oh, another boy, Georgia, another Bulldog. I'm telling you, Georgia has a lot of pro golfers.
Now, you know what
Dookie
college-
won a couple weeks ago. Adam Long, never heard of the guy. He won a couple weeks ago.
Know what college Freddie went to?
I don't know that.
University of Houston.
Okay.
Oh, is that right?
And he
Maybe I
did.
did know that.
He said he had quite a conversation with his dad when he told him he was dropping out to go turn pro.
Yeah, father wasn't too happy.
And no, they.
No, son, I don't think that's what you want to do.
But
Not like Freddie's a real likable guy.
and what a
He's
swing!
Masters. He's always, hey, I'll see him. I trust I'll see him on day 2 of the Masters. He's always usually gets off to a pretty good start at the Masters.
So, David, I've got to ask you, we got into self-driving cars. I've got to admit, I'm somewhat obsessed. But, David, I'm
That's the
watching...
last thing you would. Isn't that the last thing you can
I
ever
would-
picture doing?
I
or
would,
not?
I like if I go to the Cape during the summer,
Yeah.
I would put a pillow and a blanket.
So you'd
But
be
during the
happy.
winter, I wouldn't dare. But David, so I'm watching a newsy type show, and the fear of automation happening. Okay, if the self-driving stuff takes effect, which David tells me it will in a matter of years, they said it will put 3.5 million truckers out of business.
Oh no!
So here's my question to you, sir, is this.
Are there that many? Boy,
A
they-
truck backs up in Portland, Maine, a reefer truck, we'll say.
Who's going to load it up?
Well, you'll still have kids loading the truck up full of lobsters, and they have to bring it out to San Francisco. Okay. So you're telling me you set the GPS and that will leave Portland, Maine,
No.
and go all the way to San Francisco?
I can't ever see that happening. We are.
Why are they
you-
saying on the TV news type shows that these truckers will be
Well,
looking for
what they'll
work?
do,
Don't believe everything you hear. Huh?
we are in such a, we have such a shortage of truck drivers
Yes.
right now.
Such a short. I was about to mention shortage of everybody.
If you look at our you look at our lot right now, we look like the turkey after Thanksgiving. We have over 30 trucks that have been built and shipped. Some as far back as we just got one in. We just got one in this week that was built and should have been here in October. Just showing up now.
Really?
They have such a
There's just a shortage of people.
truck
putting-
drivers and rail cars.
Oh, so just getting the truck.
We can't
here?
even get the stuff
Dude,
here.
anytime you look at any paper
Wow.
for employment,
Yeah.
you always have looking for CDL
Truck-
drivers.
Oh, yeah, no, I
truck
hear you.
drivers.
Sure. I hear
So
you.
what I see,
along with job, everybody else, everybody's looking for people.
of course, this Amazon revolution and the whole thing where everybody drops stuff off to your house, that's using up more and more truck drivers
Tell me
too.
how often I go to UPS for packages, and this isn't me doing this, but my friend there, like every other day. I mean,
There's
packages.
they
everybody-
truck drivers
nothing
will.
I do.
I get stuff delivered to my house almost every day.
Do you really?
UPS or FedEx, yeah.
Now, where you're going to see, where you may see some automated trucks is, let's say you've got a depot in Los Angeles and you got another warehouse in Las Vegas. They could have one guy driving the main truck. They could have 20 automated ones following him.
Oh, is that really
You know what I mean? That I could see. That's
interesting?
Well, that was a question I had, is you're going from Portland, Maine to San Francisco, and it breaks down in St. Louis. The truck just breaks down. It happens. Then what?
well, you've got to have humans. That's what I'm saying. What they'll do they'll be like it'll be like a train
Oh yeah.
where you've got the lead
convoy,
car, you got
truck
the lead
convoy.
car, you got your engine, and then you got the box cars in the back.
Interesting.
Okay.
So they'll maybe be self-driving modules.
What about just cars? Self-driving? Are you telling me we're not too many years away from
They're
significant
here.
self-driving?
They're here.
But when it becomes
So-
It'll
His-
probably never be big up here.
What he wants to know was when can he go on the lot and pick out a
no, that's the
self-driving
last
car?
thing I want
They're
to know. It's
they're
inconceivable.
going
Right, I know you
first
know
to
that.
urban areas. Take like Boston.
Oh, good luck.
Take Boston or San Francisco. That's where they're testing them right now.
Are they really?
San Francisco, and I was just reading a
Well, if
thing.
they can do it there, they can probably do it anywhere.
They've got it now to where they are driving over 5,000 miles without human intervention
Really?
in San Francisco.
Are you serious?
I am serious.
Wow.
So, but
There's
I mean, in Vermont, I don't see it. I don't see it ever happening. And
then mix in winter driving conditions.
you can't.
Yeah. You know,
Hawk down to about.
1 minute. When I talk to my wife, I always say, I'll ask David Wednesday night. So that's it, boy. Time
Boy, it
flies
did
when you're
fly
having
tonight.
fun. So this concludes this edition of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. For our studio director, Zach, for Super Dave, the Duke, I'm the Nighthawk. Until next Wednesday, everyone. I think I want to say something different this week. A library card is free, but knowledge is priceless. Till next week, everyone. Good night.
The Blue Devils.
Ah,